Okay, we're going to try this again. For some reason, there's something wrong with my computer, and I am having trouble doing the videos and being able to upload them on Screencast-O-Matic. So I will do them with my handy-dandy iPhone and a tape dispenser. I did want to go through the Building Leadership Portfolio Reflection. This just talks a little bit about what it is. It's relating ISLLC standards to my experience and preparing coursework from the Building Leadership Program and how that has prepared me for my work as a school leader. All right, before I started the practicum experience, I was worried I just wasn't going to get all the information I needed to be able to, I guess, successfully kind of synthesize that information throughout my courses once I was an educator and an administrator. But it was convenient for me because I was flexing my coursework, or I was working full-time so I could flex my coursework. But I still was kind of worried that there wouldn't be some culminating type of experience that brought everything that I had learned together. And then another major concern that I had was that, you know, with it being online, it was great and it was easy and convenient, but not necessarily would I be able to get enough experience to help prepare me to be an educator. I was really excited to learn about the ISLLC standards and how they actually relate to administration, and how I could work to better uphold those standards and be a better leader and administrator. And I was just kind of hoping that through all the activities that I did, I would have that experience in learning about them. One prejudgment that I kind of had was that there was going to maybe be a lack of communication between myself and the instructors, and that I might have, you know, a difficulty in getting questions answered, and would the process be a little bit more self-guided, and I like things, you know, nice, neat, clean, and a little package saying this is exactly what I need you to do. And that's always a fear that I've kind of had with the online program. So that is that part of that. I was worried I wasn't going to get enough hands-on experiences to justify what I needed. And throughout the process, the presentations, you know, a lot of the presentations we had to relate to ISLLC standards along the way. And so that was one thing that really helped me. I was able to, you know, talk about critical thinking and talk about parental apathy and talk about some of the different projects and things that I was doing and how they related to those standards. I did want to put this on there, that one area where I felt that my experience lacked was kind of in the area of communication. I love the Google group hangout formats and Google groups, because I think that it's a great, easy way to be able to stay in communication. I was able to do it on my phone, and I always had notifications when someone had posted to something. And I did struggle with email communication with multiple professors that I had throughout this course. And I know that, you know, both myself was busy and professors were busy, you know, and they have lots of students to answer to. But that, you know, there were times where I had to send 3 to 5 emails to get the same information, or to clarify an assignment. And then, you know, just spend a lot of time calling to get phone numbers so we could establish communication. That was the frustrating part of the process. And I just kind of looked to some of the ISLLC standards, you know, and we talk about collaborative development and creating and implementing plans to achieve goals. And I think that those are things that need to be, you know, put in there, because those are ISLLC standards. Those are things that we want to do as, you know, administrators. And so I think that we need to ensure that the programs and the things that we're doing are also going to help with that. I am kind of the, you know, the believer in the lifelong learning process. And so I feel like I've learned an adequate amount of information, enough for me to be a successful administrator. But a lot of the experience that I got was the hands-on experience and talking with current administrators and, you know, shadowing them and seeing how they do, and watching conversations between people. Those hands-on experiences are really what counts. So I just kind of did it kind of like a hypothesis. So what aspects of the online Masters in Building Administration and BLPP presentation could be changed to better facilitate success, and kind of analyzed it that way. Online access to professors would be one. Like, so I think if professors had Google Hangout hours, that would be great. certain hours where we could get a hold of them. Revamped to more explicit instructions on assignments, examples from previous students. And in the portfolio, it was great to have the examples from the previous students. But again, just kind of thinking in terms of the ISLLC standards and for, preparing administrators to be administrators. Maximize time spent on quality instruction. That is standard 2G. And monitor and evaluate the impact of the instructional program. There are certain things that we need to know going through in an online program, and some people don't have the opportunities to be able to go out there and working on that. And that's what I love about this program, is that we can kind of adjust to that, but all with having the online media communication and not having that face-to-face for explanation, more explicit instructions I think would be definitely helpful. Quicker response times, online tutorial videos. I love these. Dr. Moody doing the instructional videos was great, and that was exactly what I needed to be able to know what was expected of me. The Education Administration Finance class, this class was 1 month long. I took it in the summer, and I would have to say if there was one area where I feel like I still need some improvement or some additional information, it was that class, because I felt like it was a whirlwind. I kept the book, I took all my notes, but that's definitely one area that I think in terms of being prepared, I'm going to have to ask a lot of questions once I'm an administrator to make sure I can get all the answers. And more guided opportunities for gaining experiences related to being an administrator. Guided activities are important in that area. Face-to-face and online advising, I think that is something that would help if it was mandated, at least meet face-to-face and be able to somewhat, communicate with professor and make sure that things are on track. Emails are a great way of corresponding, but I think sometimes things can get lost in translation. And I think it would just help to better stay on track. The online video tutorials, again, have been extremely helpful. And then in hindsight, something that I realized with myself, and part of this, I found out that I had to do this presentation pretty late, and I wasn't sure that I needed to do this, and found out later I should have done a better job keeping records and planning with regards to the portfolio, logging my activities and the dates of them, and then, at least in my mind, having them linked to the ISLLC standards already. To have a better understanding of the financial aspect of duties involved in administration, I wish that I would have asked more questions to administrators and maybe seen more of the financial side instead of just how they interact with kids, because I interact with kids as a teacher. I know how that goes. But talking and interacting, with the financial part of being an administrator, I think is definitely something that I would still like to get more training and kind of hands-on experience with. And then for me, the best thing was being able to be out in the schools and shadow principals. It was an eye-opening experience. I learned that there are a lot of different administrative styles that you can have and still be an effective leader. Seeing how high school teachers handle, or high school principals handle situations with students, because the students are older, and the conversations that they have with them and the voice tone and the level that they use versus how middle schools and even elementary principals handle situations. It's been really interesting, but the one thing that I have noticed is that, with everything going on, that culture of trust in the good schools, in the schools where teachers are really responsive and kids are, loving their school and doing great, it's that culture of trust that has been established. And that just kind of reaffirms what I have, what I believe about trust being important. Overall, I feel like it's been a beneficial and successful program to complete. I've learned the qualities that make an effective and a great leader. And I think the biggest thing for me is I've learned how important stakeholders are in the education process. And I think going along and learning that as a behavior consultant and seeing different ways that I need to, basically talk to members in the community and coordinate with different people, and whether it be parents or, people in the community that are upset about a kid that keeps running through their yard because they're leaving school. I guess that was something that probably before I started on this process, I didn't really realize was as important, was to involve stakeholders, communicate with stakeholders, and let them know that they are important. I feel like when I do have a problem or an issue, I go back and I kind of look, what is the function of what I'm trying to do, and how does it relate, as an administrator, how does it relate back to the ISLLC standards? And I feel like I'm a little bit more of a reflective thinker when it comes to approaching problems and challenges within the school setting. I always kind of try to think, how do I best meet the needs of all involved? Usually it's what's best for the student, but you have to look at it, what is best for all the stakeholders involved. And every action that I take as a leader, whatever the situation may be, it takes careful thought and consideration. Again, communication is essential to being an effective educator and leader. My position is kind of unique. I'm not technically an administrator, but I am put in a lot of positions where I'm actually coordinating and having coaching conversations with administrators. And honesty is the best policy. That's kind of the motto that I've always operated off of, but that having transparency and communicating with your staff and building that sense of trust and having that openness, I just can't say enough about how important that is to being an effective educator. And I've seen it, through the articles that I've read, through the activities that I've done, and also through what I've observed with good principals, and the other thing that I've seen is that it's very hard, especially when you had a school. We have a new principal at a school that last year a different principal was there, and it was a horrible school culture, and she has worked so hard to change it, and it's starting to change. But there are tears and there are days where she feels like she can't even do it. And just seeing how hard she's working to change that culture, I realize how important it is, but I also realize how hard it is. While going through this experience, it's different than doing my previous master's. My previous master's was a lot of just written work. There wasn't necessarily as much critical thinking. And I definitely understand, this is a lot more technology friendly, utilizing Google. Some classes were more intense and more in depth. And, communication, it was up and down. But, my final thought on this is, it is what you make of it. Yes, I would like more explicit instructions, but if I didn't get enough instruction, I would ask questions for it. Timelines I think could be always better, but you get out of it what you put into it. I'm a creative person. I tend to be, I kind of gung-ho and go for things. And so this whole process has caused me to be a little bit more reflective, and really just kind of think differently in terms of how I approach things, and how I would approach them as a leader. And so I think it has taught me a lot about being a better educator and being a more effective leader, because I am in that position where I'm kind of going through and working on those skills to become a leader. And so this process has been very helpful. Okay. I think that is it for this course. I apologize that the screen is kind of off and that things have been such a hassle, but I really enjoyed my experience here, and that is it. Thank you.